Hello and welcome to Plus One to Gaming. I'm Chris.
And I'm Eric.
I'm Billy.
And I'm Mark.
And we are picking up session 5 of our Star Wars 5e version of A Deep and Creeping Darkness. Mark, do you want to give us a recap and take us back into the journey?
Last time, the party was trekking to the lost town of Vermeillion on the moon of Marin on a speeder which they purchased at a steep discount due to magicals happenings. And they were cruising along and eventually found themselves in a deep canyon facing a wall of cliffs. The road wasn't very well kept, so they were forced to abandon the speeder and find their own way up, avoiding some rusty, dangerous looking ladders. And they found a rock scramble and were able to climb up even further to a part of the cliffs where they started to see signs of a camp they had seen by scanning from the valley below earlier. They made their way over towards a turbo lift that was built in the cliff, and they ran into Ihar Ichthu Nux, the braggadocious leader of the Ichthu clan. Although he was a little worried about the Gamorrean, having spent some time in a Gamorrean prison, in shock to see people out in the cliffs. They were relatively nice and opened up the turbo lift to bring the party into camp, where they were able to rest, share a meal, some conversation, and played a few rounds of Gamorrean Battle Pit dice to round out the evening. So to get started, we have our offer of inspiration. If anybody wants to give us a little personal recap from their player's perspective.
Who wants to do it?
I don't know if anybody spent any, but last time.
I did. I used my inspiration for hanging onto that cliff when the wind came. So I will do it. Goop is relaxed. He really enjoyed his chance to kind of relax and play a game. That's like his one time where he is able to unwind and he can get his mind off of constantly analyzing for threats and worrying about people. When he whips out his Gamorrean game dice, he is able to take a step back from himself and get out from his own head. He doesn't really trust a lot of people. He obviously doesn't trust this person that they're with, especially since he was a known criminal. But Gupt is very familiar with dealing with known criminals, and he's used to ones that lie and try to exaggerate the truth. And obviously, he knows this one is because anybody who had backstabbed a member of the Hutt clan would be dead. He wasn't in their Hutt clan assassin or their assault force. He was a bodyguard for the Hutt clan, but he knows from his inner workings that once you piss them off, they send an assassin after you and you're dead, and that's it. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts. So he doesn't really know what this guy did, but he's assuming he's just a small-time petty criminal who's trying to make himself sound bigger, which is what most small-time petty criminals do. But that he's not really worried about this guy just because if he was a threat, he would be dead. By not him, but by the Hutts.
Oh, Gub got a chance to relax. That's nice. I feel like he's been on edge. That's cool. You have your inspiration.
Like you'd always be on edge wearing needle armor.
That's true. It's a trade-off. You get poked all the time, which is anxiety invoking.
I would be pretty cranky.
So you guys, you had a decent night's sleep. You wake up slowly, naturally, as the sound of wind is picking up, coming down the canyons again. There's some, sand and rocks blowing underneath the tent flaps. Wasn't a bad night's sleep. This isn't a terrible camp. You guys have definitely had rougher camps in your adventures. You roll over and you see kind of a tall, stark white woman with a shock of white hair She's leaning against the pole to your tent casually, kind of like she's been waiting a moment. Best not to sleep past the early eclipse if you have far to travel. Come, the little one has made a discovery. She like beckons you out towards the other tent in the Ichthu camp.
Bedu follows.
Yeah. Arik gets up and follows also.
So you guys can see the members of the clan are all in their tent. When you come in, you see that this is kind of where they do some of their work. Mostly, you can tell working on trying to figure out how to repair the blasted panel on their ship. There's some screens, some drawings of ideas, to-do lists, a couple maps of the area that they've made themselves that have little X's and O's to correspond to the little digging areas you saw coming in. And Inopi, the little girl, is standing by a screen, and everyone's kind of crowded around her. In the night, Inopi was awoken by some popping sounds and a bright light. She took one of the data pads and grabbed these short clips. You can see they're watching kind of a repeat of what look like little puffs of light on the horizon, and then a streak into the air that hovers and then begins to blink. It appears to be some sort of droid. We don't have much, but in my experience, these seem to be scanner droids. We were curious if perhaps Sir Bidu, your droid would be able to ascend high enough to get a bead on what this might be.
I can scan a little bit, but it does have a finite range.
Maybe necessary. Inopi shouldn't have, but she did a little scouting of her own, and she flicks over to the next item, and it's kind of a really bad and blurry picture, but it appears to be what everyone would recognize as a Circa brand droid. These are distinctive, and they sound an awful lot like a dog barking in the background.
Oh, those dog droids.
Yeah, they make kind of a high-pitched but low guttural bleep, and Circa's all... Hold on, sorry.
It's all good.
He's getting ready to go on a walk, I believe.
Ooh, he's
Freaking out.
excited.
Yeah. So you recognize them because Circa is a galactic powerhouse. Just common knowledge of what the markings on these droids. We have no quarrel with Circa ourselves, but we do... Iha told me you were sent here by a mining company, and that would make Circa not kind to your presence. Inopi's kind of bouncing around. She's excited about what she's found. We be helping. Maybe you be going different way. Yes, I was against the idea, but the clan has decided that should you choose, we can give you a route around these Circa droids Inopi has found. Otherwise, we're afraid they may be hostile if they figure out that perhaps you're all searching for similar ores.
I wonder if we should go and maybe have these Zerka droids have an accident.
You want to get into some sabotage?
Bidu shrugs casually.
So how far away did we see these? I didn't hear you.
Well, as far as we know, this is the only road out, but were you to follow it, you would most definitely have to pass where Inopi saw these droids. However, our explorations have found a back route. It's no shorter, but we believe would get you where you're going with less trouble, perhaps.
So we can take a side road and go around these droids, or we could potentially go up and mess them up. I mean, like, one of those is definitely an easier route, But
yes, it would be difficult to walk on. It wouldn't take long, but yes, it would be easier in a sense. Although it may be exhausting to have to go through the mountain ranges instead of taking the droid-laden path.
yeah, that's true. I mean, we could take the harder route to try to avoid them, and they could find us anyway.
The he doesn't like inviting conflict, so if there's a way to avoid any conflict, that's what he's worried about. Is they have a tendency to go outside of his axe range, so he doesn't really like fighting them because he has to get creative.
Yeah, it's this has the potential to be a real easy job, and going and finding some adversaries might not be the smartest route. I think we should take the side route, and if they find us, they do. But chances are, I mean, if we go the other way, 100%, we're going to run into them.
Then it's decided. Let's go.
All right, y'all. So then, y'all said you would show us this other path. What's it take for us to get there?
Yes, let me dig through my books here. I have our scouting report from when we first crash landed here. Ah, yes. She lays out some really thoroughly written notes that she took when they first crash landed here, which include a description of a side path through the kind of rockier parts that avoids the river, which is where she believes the droids were located. And you can get there. It will be an exhausting travel, though, so you'll take 1 level of exhaustion after arriving.
Oh, dang. This is a mechanic we don't often see.
Yep.
You might have to explain that to me and my compatriots here.
Yes, I'm going to continue flipping through my notes here.
Gupt is very familiar with exhaustion as a barbarian, and especially one that uses, I'm trying to think exactly which skill that lets me go even more hardcore.
Super rage?
Path of the Berserker.
Ultra rage?
It's path. So not normal rage, you don't go into exhaustion. But on Path of the Berserker, I can go into a frenzy when I rage. If you do so for the duration of your rage, you make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action. But when the rage ends, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion. So being a Berserker, he is very familiar with exhaustion and the things that it does. It slows you down. It makes you not as sharp on. I guess I'm trying to keep it from being super specific, but he's explaining it to them on just it lowers your wits and your nerves. You're just a little sluggish in everything you do until you rest.
Yep, that's a fair description. Very well done in character still. For the mechanics of it, just so you know, since we don't use it very often, 1 level of exhaustion gives you disadvantage on ability checks.
Well, I don't ever use those.
Attacking is an ability check. Initiative is an ability check.
Everything
is an ability check.
Basically all.
It's just
So, Ifrinki, what's her name? Ifrink. She shows you the notes and gives you the way to take that path, and you take off.
Well, wait, I feel like we got some new information now.
Oh, sorry. Get out of my camp immediately.
Yeah. We're ready to leave for sure, but now that we all know the potential risk of side quest B or whatever they're calling this other route, y'all think it's worth it? Like, being exhausted sounds not great. It apparently affects a bunch of stuff I do.
I don't really particularly care for physical activity.
We're going to have to get physical with them droids, probably.
Oh, I just shoot at them from behind a rock with my blaster.
What you thinking, Gup? You the man that knows what it feels like to be exhausted and probably seen more combat than the both of us put together. Which you think is going to be the easier way?
Gup, he's not against being exhausted. There are ways to get over exhaustion. It's really only if we were to encounter difficulty after we were exhausted and before we could rest up. But inviting difficulty because you don't want to be tired. He's not, he kind of frowns when they would prefer to go the more difficult and more dangerous way because they may not get as tired. Like that's his thought is like, you guys don't want to get tired. Like, no, let's do the safer way. If we get tired, we rest.
See, the thing I'm worried about is exactly what you said, because ain't nothing worked for us the way we thought it would on this trip yet. We might have to deal with these droids one way or another, and I'd rather deal with them fresh than exhausted. But I mean, if we're thinking like probability, if we go the one way, 100% we're going to encounter them. If we go the other way, we're more likely going to get exhausted. But I don't know the probability of running into them, but it's probably lower than 100. So, Gup, you still on team exhaustion path?
For him, exhaustion is just a normal part of his daily life. He suffers it from time to time. So, yes, he doesn't think it's that big of a deal.
All right. I mean, I'm willing to go get a workout, I guess.
No, I suppose. Let's go.
And we're off. Bye. Thank y'all. We'll see you hopefully on the way back.
Credits. Yes, thank you for the credits.
Wait a minute. Before we leave, I got a quick thing. So we left the speeder down at the bottom of this trench or canyon, whatever it is. Y'all see him on the up and up. I mean, I feel comfortable saying you could use it to go to the town that's just over yonder and get parts y'all need to get up and out of here. Just bring it back because we're gonna need it probably on our way back, and we get charged if we don't return it.
Ita is he like sits straight up and he flicks his little monocle binocular microscope device down over his eye to get a better look at you. Oh, well, quite indeed. Yes, we would love to have use of your speeder. That would be fantastic. I think. In fact, I've been examining it a bit this morning. It might be strong enough to help us haul the tenebrescence out of this canyon.
It held all of us, and I mean, just doing some quick weight looks like we weigh more than y'all. Like I said, bring it back, or I know where you sleep, and I ain't gonna be happy.
They all kind of chuckle, and he's, "Oh yes, we shall keep it with us, and maintain it dutifully."
I look at them just real quick. You boys cool with that? That cool with y'all?
Gup doesn't care. The worst that happens is they have to walk back. He's not against walking.
Cool. So she tosses the keys over to whoever she was talking to. I forget their name.
Oh, thank you. He grabs up some of his little notes and a little toolkit and sets out to go examine the gift.
All right. Good luck, y'all. See you later.
Speeder.
You know, maybe low, but we probably wouldn't have made it this far without them anyway. So I figure, no good deed goes unrewarded or something. And shit, if they bang it up, we'll just hightail out of here some other way. I ain't paying those people.
Spaceship.
Yeah, for real.
So there's another turbo lift up the last level of cliff. They all walk with you over there, say their goodbyes. You can still hear those Zerka droids off in the distance. They fade off as if walking down the street, hopefully. So as you guys get on the turbo lift, they're coming to see you off, and you ride up, and Arik, you notice that Inopi is walking with them, the little girl, and she seems to be kind of faking a bit of a limp, and she kind of awkwardly salutes you as you guys ride up the turbo lift.
I give her like a wink and a little cool salute.
So you're taking the path less traveled.
Got some Robert Frost shit going on here.
It is an arduous journey. Definitely, lots of ups and downs, switchbacks, rock scrambles, things like that.
Bidu complains the whole way.
Bidu's constantly complaining the whole way. And you're able to make it through. It is exhausting. You all suffer one level of exhaustion. And from at one point, maybe about halfway through the journey, you see that down below, you can see the road off in the distance show back up, little bricks here and there. You can see the river they mentioned.
As we come around, can we still see those seeker droids?
Yeah, you can see a few droids, round droids hovering in the air, and you can see there are bipedal droids on the ground. You see 5 of them kind of clambering over rocks, pounding against the stone, sifting through the water's edge. They appear to be doing what mining droids do, searching and scanning the area for anything useful.
So there's 5 bipedal mining droids, and how many floaty seeker droids?
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so.
Okay. And where are we in relation to this map?
You're way up on a different kind of mountain ridge in the distance. You can see them glimmering, but you're so far away it's that you can't really hear and they can't see you. You just notice as you're walking by, you can see that the other road would have taken you through here.
Well, dang, I'm glad we came this way. That way looks treacherous. There's a lot of marks and little squiggles and frogs and stuff.
I don't know. That path was pretty treacherous. I feel awful.
Yeah, we didn't have none squiggles at us, though.
My. Should we rest?
Are we done with that path? Is it all okay now?
I
feel like it's kind of weird to give us you have a price to pay, but then you can immediately negate that price.
I am trying to.
You talking about metagaming?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, if Bidu's tired, he would want to rest.
My feet hurt.
Yeah, that's exactly. If you get tired and you can't really walk that far, you just sit down and you rest. That's why being exhausted isn't that big a deal. And that, like, being exhausted in the middle of a battle sucks. But yeah, that's why he wasn't that worried. Like, he's kind of smirking when you see all that danger because he's just like, he like snorts a little bit and laughs like, oh yeah, being tired is terrible compared to that.
In Bidu's mind, it is.
So you guys are kind of arguing a little bit back and forth about, that, whether you should rest or not. And you come down a road, the river curves back around, you find it again, and the late eclipse has begun. So the light is changing. Everything's got that weird purpley hue that's so well known in these parts. And you come up to a little, bridge leading into a ruined town. This must be Vermeillion.
This must be Vermeillion. My feet are killing me. Let's take a quick break before we go in and look around. We do that.
So your intention is to get rid of exhaustion?
My intention, yes. I want to rest so my feet aren't exhausted.
So you guys will want to do a long rest then?
I was told it was short.
It is a long rest.
I feel like I was sold a bill of goods.
Did I say it was a short rest before?
I believe that my compatriot did.
No, I just said you take a rest.
He said it in a casual way that made it seem like it wasn't a big deal and not going to be me sleeping 8 hours in the middle of a street. You said when you're tired, you take a rest. When I'm tired, I sit down on a rock and pull my boot off and rub my foot and put it back on and get on with it. I mean, how long have we... Finishing a long rest reduces the creature's exhaustion level by 1. Long rests are what, 8 hours?
So...
At least 8 hours.
You think about that. I'm gonna read you the intro to Vermeillion while you ponder. So you come across, you can see the ruined town in the distance. It is eerily quiet. Plants and wildlife have overtaken a lot of crumbling houses. There's leafless vines climbing rotting walls. Other little small creatures, lizards and birds and things, are nesting in exposed rafters that you can see from the edge of town. There's a large gnarled tree in the middle of town. The sky is overcast, which adds an air of oppression to the scene and seems to envelop the village as that eclipse falls.
Yeah, that makes sense. We traveled for a long time, 6 p.m. ish, getting up on dinner time and then hunkering down. I don't want to head up to the mine if it's going to get dark. So I think that's a good idea. Let's poke around and find a good place to make camp. I walk in across the bridge.
Edu wraps his scarf around him and walks in as well.
So you can see off to your left, there's some gravestones, a little mausoleum in the middle, appears to be a graveyard. And then across the street, looks like you see a stonemason's workshop. There's doors wide open, everything's abandoned. The back door, there's just remains kind of laying on the ground where it's rotted away and been broken up.
So, like, passing through the shop, poking our head in, do we see anything interesting? Like, are there still tools and people? Like, did they pack up and leave, or did stuff just kind of fall into a state of decay?
It's definitely fallen into a state of decay. There was work being done here before that. It doesn't look like anyone packed up over any length of time. There's still a lot of things here. Some things are jumbled. There's still some tools that are put away neatly. There's others that are taken and gone. There's some blank headstones sat around. The doorway says that Tyrus Frosthair, stonemason, was the proprietor of the shop. And at the back of the house, there's even more blank stones, slabs of granites, marbles, and there is one which has carved in it, Adolin Crean, may you all, and then it just stops, as if someone was mid-carving and never finished it.
Is that a name we recognize? Do I recognize that name?
No, but it must have just been someone who lived here in town.
Yeah.
Bidu nudges Auric. Flowers.
Well, I think are they in this graveyard? I don't think they're in this graveyard. I thought they were in the collapsed mine. I thought it was like a big, scary mass grave.
Oh, actually, I don't know.
That's my recollection.
Cemetery.
And the way that he described it, I doubt it. Because, like, if you leave your loved one and run away and never come back, you typically don't have a marker for him.
Yeah, I mean, humans have strange cultures or strange ceremonies, so I don't know.
The graveyard has a crooked wrought iron archway in the front. It's also overgrown just like the rest of the village. There's headstones at odd angles. Some are completely toppled. The older ones, have sunk into the ground and things. And there's small cairns rather than inscribed headstones that mark what appear to be more closely together graves towards the back.
I mean, I guess, so before I go into the spooky graveyard, am I correct in my memory that her body would be in like a pile at the bottom of the mine, or do I think that potentially there would be a marker in here for her?
Make a perception check.
Fuck, I accidentally hit the back button and now I lost all my stuff. My Roomba's going off upstairs. It's making a huge amount of racket. I was like, what the hell is that? Oh.
Use it as RX Foley.
Yeah. Perception, you said?
Or you could do investigation if you wanted. You're looking for Lorna Grosvenor's grave, so I feel like you know what you're looking for. You could choose that.
That's a pretty good spread, actually.
It's a great spread, but neither are great rolls. 11 and a 10.
Yeah.
So you notice as you walk through the graveyard that there are a lot of the early ones that are kind of toppled are older. They're more modern as you go back, and towards the back, a lot of them share the same date of death, which seems to correspond with what Lucas told you about the timing. So they're about 70 years old or so. And behind that are the cairns that you saw. Those you can see are closer together, a little more haphazard, and looks like the stonemason meant to give them proper headstones eventually. On the row right before the cairns start, you find a headstone that says Lorna Grosvenor. Beloved
well,
of Lucas, forever my heart.
I'll be damned. I put the flowers, pull them out of my whatever flower carrying device, and put them on her grave. Take a quick space picture of it for proof, and then leave.
Like a UPS delivery driver, you take pictures of it to show Lucas later.
I'm a professional.
Consummate professional. As you lay the dried flowers against the headstone, there's kind of a rustling in the wind. It feels warm for a moment. There's just a warm breeze, and you hear kind of a contented sigh on the wind as well. And Auric, you don't feel exhausted anymore.
That little experience, getting some catharsis, that feels good. I think I can roll and do things properly now. Y'all should maybe pay respects to some people. All right, let's get to looking at these other places. Find a place to hole up.
While we're looking through, can I just take a moment to listen around and see if we hear any signs of activity?
Yeah. So you guys are all, I guess, waiting maybe as Auric went into the graveyard. She comes back out, and Beatty, you've been listening. Roll a perception check with advantage since you're, well, you probably don't need it, but your ears are really good as a Rhodian.
Yeah, he gets...
also exhausted.
Well, so it cancels out for just a normal roll. Because he has advantage on listening checks.
Oh, tight.
But he's exhausted, so it just comes out in the wash. So 21 to listening for things.
So you hear that warm gust of wind come through town. You can hear birds chirping, some animals scuttling, things nesting. Everything seems to be abandoned. And you can hear rocks clicking in the distance. Perhaps the wind's blowing some rocks off of the mountain.
Okay.
And you also hear, the creaking signs of some shops and doors and windows in town that are swinging on their hinges.
So where we're standing here is the stonemasons. What's over here then?
Behind a giant mangled tree in the center of town is another building. It is a grand 2-story brick house. It's fallen prey to time and the elements, just like the rest of the village. But it remains in better shape than the smaller houses overall. It has heavy wooden double doors. They're flanked by darkened windows. It has chimneys anchoring the buildings at each corner. The masonry is crumbling here and there. In front of the house is the wide, leafless, gnarled tree. Its branches are reaching out towards clouds like twisted fingers. It has a rough bark. It's pockmarked with large knots and beetle holes, and there's nests of animals in it, in the branches and things.
Beetle points at the structure and nods to Auric and Gupt.
Yeah, that looks like it might be one of the more still structurally sound places here. Yeah, let's go in.
You guys are walking in, and as you're going in, you swing open the big double doors. They're not locked or anything. No one's been here for a while. And as you're walking in, Bidu, you swear that something moved over your shoulder as you slide inside the door.
Like physically, or I guess, can you describe?
You saw something move. So
okay.
You don't know what it is, but something out of the corner of your eye outside of the house that you're entering.
As we go in and close the door behind us, I'll just mention that to the group. I don't think we may not be alone.
In the entryway of this house, you see that dust covers everything in a wide hallway. There's a staircase leading up. You can see some rooms around you. There's some moth-eaten cloaks hanging on hooks along the left-hand wall. To the left and right, there's hallways branching off into darkness. Ahead, there's a stairway. It leads to a second floor. and a door stands beneath the stairs, seemingly leading to a backyard.
As we come in, Bidu kind of pilfers through the pockets looking for like keys.
Okay. Make a check of some sort.
I mean, he's
An
just
investigation check, or
sure.
I think if it's any check, it's investigation.
yeah.
20 would be the lowest.
Yeah, they just crumble in your hands. There's nothing in them.
Glad I used
They've
that.
been here for a long time.
So we want to move farther into this building.
Yeah, let's poke around some more. Move into the next room.
I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of this fog of war stuff. So we're headed where? Where do you guys want to go? Okay, yeah. So you're in the hallway now, inside of this house.
Yeah, y'all want to go into the right room? Keep your hand on the right of the wall.
Bodai.
Gup just
Well, you all moved yourself. The door's over here.
Gup is not like actively involved in. He's just following them and protecting them. So he's making no decisions on which direction to go and where to go. He's literally just following them and watching out for danger.
All right, let's clear room by room. We're going to the right.
There's chairs in this room in staggered rows with their backs to the door, facing a podium in the southeastern corner. A sideboard sits along the left side of the room. A bookcase stands to the right of the doorway, filled with tomes and little knickknacks. There's a brick fireplace that occupies the southwest corner of this room. Bidu, you notice that the bookshelf has some interesting items on it. The one thing that jumps out at you is there's a painting of a mountain range. It might be local, but you notice it catches your eye for some reason. You think it's probably worth like 2 gold. Credits.
Bidu's tempted, but it's not really practical at this point to be pilfering through stuff, but he'll make a mental note of it. I think in this area, it looks like maybe like a little bit of a study or something. He might look for some information on like the mine itself and maybe like any clues to what happened so that might help their entry of it.
Yeah, sorry, hold on a second. Give me that again. My bad.
I guess he's looking around in this room for maybe any information, documentation, journals, or anything about the mine itself, about maybe what happened, or just trying to put together some information that might help our entrance into the mine.
Yeah, so you see the desk podium area has some papers still in it. They appear to be little updates, notifications, speeches, and they're signed by Matron Duvizin. And holding some of them down is a chunk of raw ore.
Is this that special ore that people are talking about? That's all the rage?
Yeah, it has silvery swirly colors with even brighter silvery swirly colors mixed in, which matches the descriptions you remember of the ore that comes from Vermeillion.
I think Bidu takes that so he can show it to V as like kind of proof.
Okay, that's a chunk of ore worth 25 credits in case you need to sell it later.
Damn. But nothing else of interest in this room?
No, it seems to be an assembly room mostly. Other books and tomes are just kind of things you would expect.
Montanora.
Let's go into this. We all got to keep going to the right to go counter space clockwise.
As you guys walk out of that room, Gupt seems to think that he saw something out of one of the windows as he was walking by.
One of the exterior windows?
Yeah. Out of the corner of your eye, you were kind of like, oh, what? But you something might have been outside of the house.
He's immediately going to investigate. He's going to like turn to him, tell him like to drop down and like kind of huddle where they are in that room. And he's going to, he's not really stealthy, but he's just going to literally walk out and investigate.
You're going to go outside to investigate or walk out of the hallway you're in?
Like, so he's to the door that he saw something. He's going to like look out that or the window, he's going to look at that window, and if he doesn't see anything, he's going to go and like look outside. However, he is like he's not just sitting inside. If they're looking to ambush him or surround him, he's not just going to sit inside. He is.
All right.
He absolutely will go outside if he can't see anything from inside.
So make a perception check.
8.
So you motion to everybody to hit the deck and hustle over to the window, looking left, right, up, down. You saw where you thought the momentum was headed left to right, so you're looking off to the right in particular. There's wind blowing in the trees, and that's about it.
All right. He is going to like when did he think he just saw a figure, or could it just been like he just saw like a shape or something go by, so it could have been something blown by the wind?
Oh, must have been the wind.
Or is he confident that it was like it was some sort of like figure, like a person?
So you tell me, what do you want to look for? What do you think it is?
Yeah, so I mean, he didn't get this far by being aloof. So he is, he is always on guard. If he sees something out of the corner of his eye, even if he thinks that it's probably nothing, he's going to investigate and make sure that there's nothing out. So he's going to still have those guys, his wards, his people that he's protecting, have them hunker down. And he is actually going to leave the house and look over in the direction, I guess it was to the right. So he's going to like, not sneakily, but not being loud. He's going to go out and look and see if there's anything out there. Like if people are preparing to attack them.
Billy, are you working in like...
It sounds like there's a fucking fantasy flute section.
I was going to say, is there like a third grade recorder recital going on in the background? What the shit?
No, I can turn it off. That's my 3D printer.
Oh.
It sounds like an old dot matrix printer, but
That's what I was like. It's either that or you're in fucking like Amazon server room.
I hear it now though, the printer, but yeah, for a second I could have sworn there was just like Yanni in the background.
It does make like very specific, like how fast it's going and where it's going. It's like it's very tonal, so it'll make like kind of like music. Like I'll be playing on the computer or working, and it'll be like doing very like rhythmic and like continue, especially when it's like it goes up a layer and does like the outside. It's like and it does that for like 20 minutes while it's like building each layer, and it's like okay, that's kind of annoying. I just started something, so I can definitely pause it.
Have you heard that? Have you heard seen those videos of that guy who hooks up a bunch of old tech and makes music off of it?
Yeah.
It's incredible. Reminds me of that. All right, well, glad we solved that conundrum.
I'm glad it was something and not just your microphone.
Like that's just the sound it makes as it's recording.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
So Gup, you tell them to hunker down and wait. Don't see anything out the window, so you head outside, looking off in the direction of which you thought you saw something. And there's nothing there. You're looking kind of south, I would say. Again, some little animals running around and things like that. And as you're looking that direction, over your shoulder, off in the distance, you hear a grunt, a weird little piggly grunt. Our other players back in the house, when Gup leaves, what are you guys doing?
I mean, he alerted us, so it's not. I don't think I'm gonna like just act like nothing happened. So he went out the front door. I'm assuming there are like windows on every wall.
Yeah.
So Arc's gonna go into the room that we didn't go into. That would be in like the top right quadrant. And I'll look out a window to see if she, like, as stealthily as she can, like, peek out a window to see if she sees anything.
So roll a in perception check.
Damn, her perception, she's good at it. She's not doing well. I got a 9.
You see Gup standing there. He's got his head kind of on a swivel, back and forth, looking in the distance, examining the horizon. You don't see anything besides Gup examining the perimeter.
Is there another window on the west side of this interior building?
Yep. Yeah, there's a window in these rooms. Well, either of these rooms here would each have a window on the wall.
Cool. Beadu's going to activate his stealth scarf before peeking out the window and doing what Orc did, taking a gander and looking for anything of suspicion.
Remind me what your stealth scarf does? You have advantage on stealth rolls or something, I imagine?
Oh, let me pull up the item. It's a cloak of elven kind. While you wear this cloak with its hood up, wisdom perception checks made to... What's the rest of it? Made to see you have disadvantage, and you have advantage on all dexterity checks. Sorry. And you have advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide as the cloak's color shifts to camouflage you.
Okay, so yeah, you pull your hood up, and as you do, it clicks on its mechanism and kind of pixelates a little bit, and starts to shift into the colors of the bookcases and old kind of peeling wallpaper to camouflage you a bit as you peek out the window. So make your perception check.
Okay.
You see a dilapidated town out the window.
And these old windows are dusty. I can't see anything out of them.
Shinhamura. Me either.
Gup, you haven't found anything yet, but you did hear a sound in the distance behind you. What are you doing?
So he's going to turn around, he's not going to leave his the footprint of the house, but he is going to go and move. I would say his one of his movement ranges out of the house to see if he can get close enough to see what that thing was, but he just wants to make sure that he's close enough that he could get back if something happens in the house.
So
I'd say 30.
Okay. Do you want to move towards the thing you thought you saw or the thing you thought you heard?
The thing he thought he heard, because the sound is confirmation. He's, there's, it could have been the same thing and now it's moved, but he's definitely going to go look for the thing that he heard.
So you come to the edge of town. Here you start to see hover vehicles, mostly haulers. Some of them still have, rocks and things crumbled in them. Most of them are dilapidated, just kind of crashed or abandoned. This seems to be kind of where things, the mining part of town begins. So there's a lot of little buildings, outbuildings, sheds, things like that. You start investigating the sound. You hear it again. It's a small little piggly grunt. It sounds almost familiar to you. You think it sounds like a young Gamorrean. Bidu and Arik, what are you guys up to? You just still like chilling, looking out windows for more stuff?
Well, I feel like if Gup's gone out for a little while, at some point Gup or Bidu would slip out to kind of follow to see what he's up to.
Yeah, I don't think I would wait that long in here either.
Yeah, I say Gup's been gone, probably a minute or so. I mean, it hasn't taken him long just to peek out the window, then walk outside, and then walk about 30 feet off. And Bidu, you're looking out the window, whichever direction it is, and you can see Gup kind of poking through some of these areas, poking his head around little alleyways. So he hasn't been gone long, but yeah, you can follow him whenever you'd like to do.
Yeah, I think we would go out and stick close.
So you are headed out of the house. Bidu, you're very supernatural, great hearing. Here's like a almost like a few little jogs across the second floor above you.
There might be somebody upstairs. whisper that to Oric.
Oh, they ain't gonna get nowhere. Let's go get Gupt and we can come back and figure out what's going on here. But I don't want to deal with anybody without all of us together.
Bode.
So Gupt, you heard another little piggly sound, and it seems like it's coming from behind you again, more towards, like, away from where the graveyard was, up a little path. You've walked over, investigating things, and now it's like behind you again all of a sudden.
He's going to go back and reconvene with the party. There's really nothing for him to see here. He keeps hearing that sound. He's a little confused. His intuition is not to go help Gamorrean children. They have to learn to survive on their own, so it's not something that he's like drawn to go and see if it actually is a small child to help. If that child got himself into danger, he'll have to get himself out or die. That is how the Gamorrean survive. So he's going to go back and he's going to regroup in the house with the rest of the party.
Okay, so after maybe another minute or so, you guys are a little worried about what Gupt might be up to, and then Beta, you see him kind of shake his head, shrug it off, and he tromps back into the house with you.
Bidu puts his finger up to his proboscis and says, Quiet, Gupt, we think there's might be somebody upstairs. He points upstairs.
Gup nods and he is going to start going up the stairs. I mean, he can't really be silent. He'll try to sneak. It's really not going to work because he's got disadvantage, and I don't think you can get double disadvantage, but with his armor, he has disadvantage on sneak rolls anyway. Plus he's exhausted, but I think rules as written, there's no such thing as double disadvantage.
Yeah.
He rolled a 5, so he's going to try to quietly go up the stairs, but I would assume, this big heavy, he's wearing giant armor, and they're old steps, so they're squeaking pretty loud while he's trying to walk up carefully. But he's gesturing the party to follow him. He doesn't like him standing that close to the door also. He just, wants him to be kind of interior and just because he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, follow him up.
You come to an open landing waiting at the top of the stairs. There's 4 closed doors before you and a large entryway that gapes open from across the hall to your south.
All right, so now that we've heard something up here, Gup's kind of taking the lead in, he's not investigating the rooms anymore like they were doing before, but they're trying to find clues. He's actually just trying to find people. So he's going to go to that closest door and he's going to breach and clear, try to quietly look in the room if he can. Is that door open and is there anything in there?
So the door swings open freely. There's dim light in this room coming in from the windows. And there's nothing much in here. There's a bed. It's partially covered in debris from one of the collapsing chimneys that in this corner of the building.
And he makes a clear signal to the rest of the party, and he's going to step down and check out the next room.
There's a large double bed you see when you open the door to this room. It sits beneath some windows along a far wall. There's a fireplace that occupies one corner. It's pretty nice compared to the ones that were downstairs. And there's also a window that's looking out on the front lawn as well.
All right, he's going to continue around. And so through the gap that you described earlier, he's going to kind of first peek around without exposing his whole body. And then if he doesn't see anything, he's going to just step into the room so he can get a better view of that entire room.
So you walk into this room, has kind of a big archway that leads straight in, and it's filled with shelves, which are filled with books that line the walls of the library. There's 4 wingback chairs around a low table that's in the center of the room. There's a wide bank of windows on the south wall that gives you kind of a nice panoramic view of all of the dilapidation of the houses in town outside, and a very good view of that twisted branching tree that's planted in the center of town.
All right, he's going to continue clearing the rooms one by one. So then he's going to walk over to the southeastern room, and he's going to do the same thing: push open the door and look inside.
This room is cold and empty. The window's broken open and air's blowing through, making kind of a whistling noise. There's nothing in here except for a bed and, again, another fireplace in the corner. This fireplace is really basic, just brickwork.
Right, and then the last room up here, he's going to do the same thing.
When you walk out of the guest bedroom, the wind picks up real quick, and you think you hear your name on the wind. When you come into the other room, you see that it's another bedroom. There's a tall chest of drawers. They're made of dark wood. Across from the door, farther in, there's a small desk, some more windows, and there's a large bed in here as well. The sheets and blankets are all rumpled, and there's moth-eaten pillowcases and things strewn about the room.
All right, the group's going to regroup back with the party. He's going to nod to them and tell them that it's clear. He still doesn't exactly know what's going on, but he's comfortable with them continuing on with their investigation and their search.
Well, I'm feeling pretty tired. This seems like a safe spot to hole up. Do you think we should call it a night?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We can set the droids up on watch first and get some rest.
Cool. So you guys want to kind of make a little camp inside of this nice house?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, each of these rooms has a bed, correct?
Yep. There's 4 bedrooms up here. Plenty of furniture and stuff if you needed to make any ramshackle push together for bed for RX.
Nah, he just plugs into stuff, and I doubt there's power in this place, so he's not gonna be able to power up.
He's got a solar charger too. He'll be good. Well, actually, the Ichthu clan let you plug into one of their power inverters, I believe.
Yeah.
So he should be pretty well fed.
So yeah, I'll just want to take a room and set the droids up by the stairs or by the front door. There are really not that many other ways for someone to get in here, so I don't feel like we're gonna get snuck up on.
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so you'll put, I guess, RX. You'll post him up by the front door as a night watch.
Yep.
It's pretty clever because then nobody has to miss sleep that way.
Definitely don't want to be exhausted anymore.
So yeah, you guys can go. You pick your rooms or whatever and set off to make your own little camps as you did before with the Ichthus clan. All picking your rooms upstairs. Everybody has their own door, so that's pretty nice. And as you guys crawl into bed and start to drift off into galactic slumber, you feel your body kind of drift into sleep. And as you do, there's some kind of strange, sickening feeling in your stomach. And when you brush it off, it's been a long day, you're exhausted, need to get some food in the morning, you think. And then in the middle of the night, you are beset by terrible, awful nightmares. And that's where we will pick up next time.
That's it for our 5th session of A Deep and Creeping Darkness. What nightmares beset our hapless spacers? Is this the deep and creeping darkness they've been hearing about? Tune in next week to find out. Hop into your Duskoga issued starship and punch in +1 to gaming.com into your nav system for more live play episodes, character creation tips, and DM resources. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.